just pulled this pin out of the clutch pedal, and I've heard of this before, but I've never actually seen it. You can see right there, that groove is actually worn in it just from using the clutch. I just got the outer and the inner on this side separated, and if I would have looked closer, you can actually see it in there on the inner tie rod end. It's got a ton of play, so that's what I was feeling, so that's good news. That means that hopefully that steering rack is still okay. I've been working my butt off stripping this car out. I thought the power steering stuff would be super easy to get out. Turns out you've got a reservoir, you've got a motor, here it all is. You got a motor, you've got electronic control pieces, and then all that stuff plugs into your harness, and so it looks like I'm going to need most of the stuff off of that harness, or to do a harness swap, at least for the front. So I pulled that harness out, there it is. So it has been a chore to get all that power steering stuff out. Hoping it's worth it. Not quite sure if I want to just not tear into my car that far and just loop the power steering lines and just run it like that so I get the quicker steering ratio, but not the power. I'm getting tired of tearing down this white car. I can't take it anymore, and I got one subscriber that is super bugging me because he wants to see if this transmission's good. I want to see if it's good, just to see if I got ripped off or not, but I also want to see the carnage in that motor, so that's what we're going to do tonight. Gosh, that was a rough night. I started out thinking I'd pull the manifolds off and then flip the motor over and get the oil pan off, and I could not get one bolt off of where the oil feed and return are on that turbo. So I fought that thing for like an hour, got all sorts of stuff torn apart on it, and never actually got that sucker off. And finally I looked at the clock and it was like 10 o'clock, and my main thing I wanted to do was get this transmission off, so I said screw it and started getting that transmission off. And then the transmission was fighting me. It seems like I think I'd have every bolt and I'd pry on it and it wouldn't want to move, and then I'd go look around and find another bolt. So just a rough night, but it happens. It's like 11 o'clock at night and I gotta work, so I gotta be up in, let's see, 7 hours, and I still gotta shower and everything, so I'm not even going to bother putting all this junk away. I'll just leave my poor little MR2 out in the cold, and hopefully it doesn't rain. But I'm going to go to bed, clean this stuff up tomorrow, and let you know how the transmission looks. Hey guys, it's the next night. I managed to get a little bit of ambition, so I wanted to show you my transmission. It's separated from the motor, and it turns nice and smooth, no bearing chatter or anything like that, no shaft play. So in that respect, I think it's good. Before I took it off the car, I was able to shift it into gear. I think it's actually in gear right now. Maybe it's just because I'm doing it one-handed, but it totally shifts gears. So I think for the most part, oh, there we go. So it was in gear, it just went into another gear. There we go. So it goes in and out, so that's in neutral right now. I ran it through, cycled it into every gear, and it seems to work pretty well. So, and you can actually feel every synchronizer in every gear a little bit. So I think, as far as I can tell, this transmission looks good. Before I took it out, I wiggled the CV axles to make sure that there wasn't a bunch of play in the differential bearings, and those were all good. The only thing I noticed that I'm going to change while it's out is both of my axle seals are pretty torn up. Probably from when these boneheads put it in the car, honestly. So that, and then I'm going to put some polyurethane inserts in all the motor mounts, and then obviously clean it up a little bit and put it in my car. So for now, that transmission is going to go sit in the corner, and I'm going to try and get you a little bit of a Carnage video. I've got like an hour tonight before I want to go inside and go to bed. It's already like 10 o'clock here. So I'll try and knock that out. Hopefully this turbo will come off and not kick my butt for another hour. And yeah, let's get on it. Alright, so here's the oil pan and the bottom end of the motor. Really doesn't look that bad. I mean, the oil is nasty. It's super dirty and thick and grimy, but I don't really see any real big chunks. I was expecting parts and pieces to be falling out of it when I opened it up. And then inside there, yeah, let's get you some light. Like that cylinder looks good. I think cylinder 2 looks good. And this one has some chunks. I'm gonna grab a magnet and see what those are. And then the third one I think looks good. So it might have just dropped like a valve or a piston ring in one cylinder, and then that was it. There's some metal there. What else? Basically the bottom of this piston. There's definitely some metal in there. Not the carnage I was expecting, that's for sure. I was expecting to see, bearings and end caps and all that stuff. So sorry, that's kind of lame. All that anticipation. So here we are. It's cold. It's raining. My poor little MR2 is sitting out there in the rain getting wet. Probably water leaking in because my T-tops are leaky. And my garage is a disaster. The guy that sold me this car told me it had a new clutch in it. And I think he may have actually been honest with me. Like, clutch looks pretty darn new. It's a cheapie. And on the pressure plate you can see, you know, some heat marks and everything, so I probably wouldn't reuse it. But it's really not bad. Flywheel's the same way. Pretty clean. But other than that, I'm just gonna clean up this garage. So this place is a mess and I want to get that car in there tonight. So a ton of this stuff's gonna go sit out in the trailer until I find a good spot to put it or to get rid of it. Other than that, I'm just gonna pull the car in and call it a day. Yeah, I honestly think the transmission is the best condition out of any other part in this car. It's amazing. The one thing that I needed out of this car is actually in good shape. Everything else seemed to be junk. I got a few parts here and there, but for the most part, that's the best thing. And it's the only thing I needed, and that's actually made the car worth it. So hopefully I'm not jinxing myself and it actually runs when I get it in my car, but I think it will. It looks pretty good. Oh my goodness, I just moved the cars in and there was a brief second there where I could see my breath. I'm not ready for this yet. I came from a nice warm climate. What is this crap? It's only raining. I'm already freezing. I don't know about this. It's been 10 years since I've seen a good winter. So at least, probably 12. So, or at least 11. Yeah, 11 years. It's been 11 years since I've seen actual, a winter. So, it's probably 45, 50 degrees right now. I don't know, it's probably 60. But anyway, I'm freezing already. My hands are cold. I don't like this.